Morning, learners. Welcome to Black Slides Online. This is where you learn the sciences, namely physics, chemistry, biology, agriculture, mathematics, and other on-demand subjects. Welcome, learners. It is with great pleasure that we meet now to revise a mock paper. This is Agriculture Paper 1 from St. Mary's once again. This is the St. Mary's Secondary School mock paper, Agriculture Paper 1 to be specific. This is the St. Mary's from Zomba. Remember that we have another St. Mary's in far north in the north in Karonga. It's called St. Mary's Karonga. But this particular mock paper is from St. Mary's Zomba. Welcome, learners. We are going to go through Agriculture Paper 1. If you are watching our video lessons on our YouTube channel, and this happens to be your first time, consider subscribing to the channel and also hit the notification bell. This will enable you to get notifications every time we upload a new video lesson. Welcome, learners. Our pledge to you remains that we are going to continue revising up to the end of this month and beyond. That means although exams start on 29th June, revisions will still continue. So we urge you to stay on the channel so that you continue revising. Remember, our goal on here at Black Slides is to produce as many distinctions as possible in the sciences. So invite your friends wherever they may be and join us on this platform. Welcome, learners. Without spending too much of your time, let us get to the business of the day. Welcome to Section A. This is Agriculture Paper 1 from St. Mary's Secondary School in Zomba. Answer all questions in the spaces provided. This is a standard paper. Your MSCE Agriculture Paper has 13 questions. It has 10 questions in Section A, carrying 70 marks, and 3 other questions in Section B, carrying 30 marks, a total of 100. List any 2 texture classes of soil. Recall that soil texture refers to the fineness or the coarseness of soil particles. How fine or coarse soil particles are is called soil texture. So basing on that, we are asked to list any 2 texture classes of soil. 2 marks. The examiners expect you to say the following: sandy soil, clay soil. Other valid answers include loam soil, silt or silt loam, sandy loam, etc. These are the classes of soil based on their texture. The examiners are asking you for just two. Don't list all of them because the question is just 2 marks. That means each is 1 mark. Don't list too many. Examiners will not mark all of them. They'll just mark the first 2. Describe any 2 activities which are involved in processing cassava. Remember that processing involves preparing a material or a product either for storage, for sale, or for food. So mention any 2, describe any 2 activities which are involved. Take note that we are not asked to just list, like in number 1. No, you have to describe, meaning that you have to you mention the process and then say a few things about it. For 4 marks. Take note, 2 activities for 4 marks. That means each activity has 2 marks, or it has 2 parts. The name of the activity and its explanation. That's what it is to mean, what it means to describe. Take note. This does not mean that you should mention 4. No, just 2. So each point is 2 marks because it has the name of the activity and its explanation, so that you have 2 marks for each. So one of the activities involved in processing cassava is peeling and washing. Peeling involves the removal of the outer skin and the thin cortex, manually or mechanically, whether using hands or using machine. Then the roots are thoroughly washed to remove soil, dirt, and impurities. That's peeling and washing as one. Well, if you want, you can just mention peeling as one of them, and then you give the explanation. By saying this, you have 2 marks, peeling and washing, 1 mark. Then the explanation, the outer skin and the thin cortex are removed manually or mechanically. Then roots are thoroughly washed to remove soil, dirt, and impurities. Anything that's not cassava. The non-cassava material is removed by washing. Welcome, learners. My name is Mr. Paul Chilola. I represent Black Slides Online Secondary School. Here at the Black Slides, we are so grateful to the teachers at St. Mary's, those who set up this paper. I would recommend that this is a very beautiful paper worth going through, as it presents the real exam style questions. That's the kind of material that we would like to share with our learners. Welcome, learners. Another activity involved in the prepared processing of cassava is grating or crushing. Grating or crushing. So the cleaned roots are ground, meaning broken down or crushed, or grated into a fine pulp or mash. The reason why this is done is in order to break down the cell structure, to release starch, and prepares the material, the cassava, for further processing, such as fermentation, dewatering, or drying. You can add if you want. These are also processes on their own. Fermentation is also a process. It's an activity involved in processing cassava. Dewatering, reducing the water content, or drying is the same. So the other varied activities include in fermentation, where the starch in the cassava is converted into maybe ethanol or something, depending on the intended use. Dewatering, pressing, that's removal of the water content. Even drying is just as good as dewatering, removing the water content. Sifting, also known as sieving, roasting, milling, crushing it into flour. So these are the activities. Don't list all of them, just mention any two. So we have mentioned two here, and their corresponding explanations. Welcome, learners. My name is Mr. Pochilola. I represent Black Slides Online. Number two, define conservation agriculture. We shall define conservation agriculture as a farming system using minimum soil disturbance, permanent soil cover, and crop rotation to improve soil health, which is also called soil fertility, reduce erosion, and sustain productivity while protecting the environment. That's called conservation agriculture. However you put this, make sure you capture the key concepts: minimum soil tillage, maintaining soil cover, and also crop rotation is part of the conservation agriculture. The aim is to improve soil fertility or soil health, reduce erosion, and sustain productivity while protecting the environment. Explain 8 ways in which improved farming technologies reduce post-harvest losses. Post-harvest losses are the losses in the harvest in the produce once the crop has been harvested. Okay, so losses that come or that are incurred once the crop has been harvested are called post-harvest losses. So post-harvest losses can be reduced by, mind you, the question is asking us to explain 2 ways in which improved farming technologies, so the focus must be on technologies. Now we have improved storage facilities such as silos, advanced granaries. These protect crops from moisture, pests, and mold to prevent spoilage. So the technology here is improved storage facilities. Explaining what that does: improving crops from, protecting crops from moisture, pests, and mold to prevent spoilage. That's 1 mark. So this whole thing is 2 marks altogether. Another technology is better harvesting and drying methods, which reduce damage and lower moisture to preserve quality of the produce. Improved processing methods minimize losses and remove impurities for more usable produce. These are called improved farming technologies and how they're helping to reduce post-harvest losses. Pest control technologies which stop insects and rodents from damaging stored crops. So any two of these will give you 4 marks. Mentioning the item, the technology and explaining it, that's 2 marks. So don't write all of these. Just write any two. Mention the technology and explain its role in reducing post-harvest losses. State any 3 challenges in running an agricultural cooperative in Malawi. A cooperative is simply a group of people that come together, that put their resources, inputs, money, and carry out an agricultural activity together and earn money from it, which they can share at the end. That's called a cooperative. So they have a common interest, a common goal to produce and sell, make profits and share. That's called cooperative, agricultural cooperative. So they meet challenges, and that's what the examiner is asking us to state these challenges. Agricultural cooperatives meet a number of challenges. One of them is lack of enough capital and funds. Sometimes the cooperative may not have enough money to run their activities. So that's a challenge. Poor management and leadership skills. Sometimes the people engaged in managing the cooperative may not have the required skills to manage funds, to manage the production processes. That's a challenge also. Low member participation and commitment. Sometimes there can be too few people that have shown interest to be part of the cooperative. That is also a challenge. Welcome, learners. My name is Mr. Pochilola. I represent Black Slides. Another one is poor transport and road networks, limited access to markets and information. I think these are two. Poor transport and road networks is another one. Limited access to markets and information. So because there is poor transport, maybe road network, it limits their access to markets and information. There are many of them, but these are just some few. So you are only asked for 3 of them. Don't write all of them together. After all, the question is just 3 marks. Describe any 2 ways in which infrastructure services are important in improving agricultural production. Infrastructure services. Examples are road networks, that's infrastructure, transport, and others. So describe 2. The question is saying describe 2. That means each is 2 marks. Then you have 4 marks altogether. So describe any 2 ways in which infrastructure services are important in improving agricultural production. One of the infrastructure services include good roads. Good roads, by saying good roads, 1 mark. Ease transport of inputs and produce, that's another mark. So here 2 marks. Another one is irrigation infrastructure. By saying irrigation, that's 1 mark. By explaining how it is helpful, it enables farming in dry season, like we have the green belt in Malawi. Using modern irrigation techniques, they are able to grow maize twice, if not thrice a year. That's very, very important to note. Another one is storage facilities. That's also infrastructure. Prevent produce spoilage. Describe any two ways in which infrastructure services are important in improving agricultural production. Electricity is also an infrastructure service that supports processing and machinery use. Without electricity, it's not easy to process some of the farm produce into end products. But also for machines to run, there's need for electricity. Welcome learners. My name is Mr. Pochilola, your teacher. Subscribe to the channel in case you are new. Invite your friends to join us. Welcome learners. Market infrastructures provide easy access to buyers. Remember that markets connect the producers and the consumers. So market infrastructures provide easy access to buyers. Welcome learners. Table 1 shows the type of farm record. Use it to answer questions that follow. So take note, we have column for date, required, acquired, and then item on which was obtained, acquired on that particular date, how many items, and the original value like cost. So 22nd January in the year 2024, a plow was bought. One plow was bought at the price of 450,000 kwacha. On 16th July 2023, a ridger was bought, one ridger, at 100,000. And then on 17th, this must be April 2025, not quite long ago, an ox cart, actually 2 ox carts were bought at the value of 200. So the question is, identify the type of farm record kept by the farmer in table 1. What kind of farm record is this? Take note that these are the farm assets. That means the type of record being kept here is called asset register. It can also be farm inventory record. Inventory means materials, resources, or assets. Or it can also be called a fixed asset record. Any of these will give you 1 mark. If the plow has a salvage value of 50,000 kwacha and an estimated lifespan of the machinery is 5 years, calculate the annual depreciation of the machinery. Show your working. First, it is important to understand the concept salvage value. Salvage value is the value of an item which you get after selling it. After using it for some time, you decide to sell it. The cost that you get, the money that you get, is called a salvage value. Let's say you are selling the plow here at the named price of 50,000 kwacha. So this value is salvage value. You have used it for a number of years, let's say 5 years, which is referred to here. Then the money for which, the amount for which it is sold is called a salvage value. So in order to calculate the annual depreciation of the plow, we need the following information. We are told, okay, in order to calculate the annual depreciation or reduction in value, the annual reduction in value of the plow, we shall use the formula annual depreciation is equal to the original value, that's the value which the plow had when it was just bought, minus the price at which it has been sold, which is called the salvage value. and then divide by the useful life, in this case the lifespan. Welcome learners. So we are told that the original value is 450,000 kwacha and the average value is 50,000 kwacha. Okay, so from this we can obtain the estimated life. Okay, we are already told that the estimated lifespan is 5 years. So the annual depreciation is going to be the original value minus the salvage value divided by the lifespan. Subtracting 450,000 minus 50,000, it gives us 400,000. Then you divide by 5. It means the annual depreciation will be 80,000 if you divide 400,000 by 5. That must be 80,000 kwacha. I just forgot to complete this bit here. I'm sorry, learners. Explain any one benefit of keeping the information shown in the table. What's the importance of this information? The benefit. So keeping such a record helps to track the value of farm assets for proper financial planning and management. So this helps in proper financial planning and management. The record is used to calculate depreciation and also determine accurate profit or loss of the farm business. It helps you to determine accurate profit or loss of the farm business. It also helps in planning for the replacement of the machinery when they wear out. So this will help you to plan to buy a new one to replace the asset when the other one has been worn out. Welcome learners. So one of them will give you, one of them will give you 2 marks. It helps track the value of the farm assets, 1 mark. For proper financial planning and management, that's another mark. So don't write all these, just write one of these 3. You get 2 marks. Welcome learners. My name is Mr. Poch Lola, your teacher. In case you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Simply send us a text message to the number shown here. I'm sure it's clear. It's 0981258577. That's the number you can text us on WhatsApp. You can also call the same number. Welcome, students. Number 5. Mention any 2 examples of indigenous grass pastures in Malawi. These are the pastures of grass nature in Malawi. 2 marks. Just mention. No explaining is needed. 2 of them for 2 marks. So the common indigenous, these are the grass pastures found in Malawi locally, local ones. One of them is called Hibernia grass, which in Chichewa is called Mbalame. Why it's called Mbalame is because birds like to live in such grass. It's called Hibernia. Take note of the spelling. Another one is called Themida grass, which is also called Nkamanga in Chichewa. Here, let me advise you to use English names rather than using Chichewa names. It's not allowed in science to use vernacular names. Synodon grass, which is also called Bwazi in Chichewa. is another indigenous grass pasture. Digitalia grass, which is called Kampangara in vernacular. Just do some research on internet or elsewhere, you find these there. Look at their pictures. You notice that they're common ones. Another one is pensetam grass, which is called Mpunga Wankuku. Mpunga Wankuku. That's its Chichewa name. So once again, stick to using English names rather than these vernacular ones. Outline any 3 activities involved in transplanting mango seedlings. 3 marks, 3 of them. Outline, just listing like that. Activities involved in transplanting mango seedlings include the following. You dig planting holes of suitable size and depth and mix soil with manure or fertilizer. That's the first thing that needs to be done before you have transplanted. So dig the planting holes. The planting holes must be ready. They must be of suitable size and depth and mix soil with manure or fertilizer. Secondly, you remove seedlings carefully from their containers or nursery beds, keeping soil around roots to avoid damage. Then you place seedlings in the hole, fill with soil, film gently, and water immediately after you have transplanted. These are the activities involved in transplanting mango seedlings. Welcome, learners. Describe any 2 economic importance of fruits in Malawi. Fruits are important in many ways. The importances are of different categories. We have economic importance, nutritional importance, and other importance. But here strictly we have to describe economic importance, which means it has to do with earning money, or money is involved. Anything that involves money is an economic activity. So, what are the economic importance of fruits? One of the importance of fruits in Malawi is it earns as foreign exchange through export. So when we sell our fruits to other countries, we get foreign exchange, which is also called forex, in exchange for that. So it earns the country, Malawi, foreign exchange through export. That's an economic importance. Another one, it provides income to farmers and traders. So the people involved in the growing of the fruits get money out of it. And the traders who trade in the fruits also get money in return. It creates jobs in production, processing, and selling. For example, there's a place in Sarima called Malawi Mangoes. There are people working there in producing mangoes, processing them, and selling. I think they also grow other fruits like bananas. I've been there once, but I only saw mangoes. But through my interaction with friends who work there, who have worked there before, I'm told they also diversify in other kinds of fruits. So creates jobs in production, processing, and selling. These are the economic importance. Take note that everywhere we are mentioning this, there's money changing hands. It also supplies raw materials to food and beverage industries. Money is involved in the process. You are only asked to describe any 2. Don't write all of them. Earns foreign exchange, 1 mark, through export, another mark, that's 2. Provides income to farmers and traders. Provides income, 1 mark, to farmers and traders, another mark. That's 4 marks altogether. Don't write too many things. Welcome, learners. My name is Mr. Paul Chilola, your teacher. Reach out to us. Leave a comment in the comment section below. We shall come back with a response. It also reduces expenditure on imported fruits and products. When we grow our own fruits in Malawi, we shall not spend money to buy them from other countries. So all these are the economic importance of fruits in Malawi. Figure below shows farm equipment. Use it to answer questions that follow. State any one form of power that can be used to operate the farm equipment. State any one form of power that can be used to operate the farm equipment. Mechanical power can be used to operate the machine. Explain any 2 reasons why most women do not use the equipment for agricultural production. Women. You find that mostly it's men who operate this. Why? Give reasons for 4 marks. 2 reasons. One of them is high cost to buy. The women may not have money to buy or hire or maintain this kind of machine or equipment because of its high cost. Lack of training and skills to operate. Some women may not have trained in it operating this. That's why they are not using it. These are just some suggested reasons. You can also come up with your own reasons. Limited access to credit or loans. Women are segregated against by some cultures, some norms, limiting them from getting capital enough to purchase such equipment. Cultural beliefs that machinery is only for men. These are the reasons why most women do not use the equipment for agricultural production. Sometimes they don't have large farm sizes, which makes it uneconomical. So they have small farm sizes, which makes it uneconomical to use this. Number 7. A farmer observed the following signs and symptoms in his cattle: swollen feet, lameness, foul smell with pus oozing. I think this is supposed to be 00, not 00. Oozing, pus coming out. Emaciation. Emaciation is loss of weight. So the animals look thin, as if they are not eating. Identify the disease the animals are suffering from. All these symptoms together are symptoms of a disease which is called foot rot or foot and mouth disease, but mostly foot rot. Name the causal organisms for the disease. What is organisms cause foot rot? The disease is caused by a kind of bacteria called Fusobacterium necrophorum. It may also be caused by Bacteroides nodosus or Dichrobacteria nodulos. Any of these, one mark. State any two control measures of the disease mentioned above. To control this disease, it's advisable that you practice regular trimming of overgrown or damaged hooves. The feet of animals are called hooves, to remove infected tissue and improve foot healthy. Regular trimming, so cut off any overgrowth or damaged hooves. Keep the housing, the animal collars, yards, and grazing areas clean, dry, and well drained to avoid muddy, wet conditions that favor this bacteria. So Na2 for 2 marks, that means each is 1 mark. Also use foot baths with solutions like copper sulfate or formalin regularly to disinfect hooves and prevent infection. Remember, formalin is also called formaldehyde or copper sulfate. So any two of these will give you 2 marks. When the symptoms are noted in the animals, it's advisable that you isolate or quarantine and treat infected animals immediately to stop the disease from spreading to healthy cattle or cattle. Welcome, learners. My name is Mr. Pochilola, your teacher. Explain any one way in which each of the following management practices done to calves. Calves are young cattle are important. Disbudding. Disbudding is an activity done on cattle to remove or to trim their horns. So this is done in order to prevent the growth of horns, which reduces the risk of calves injuring each other, the farmer himself, or damaging farm structures or collars. So disbudding would prevent growth of horns. It also makes handling and management easier and safer. Another activity is branding. Branding means labeling your calves. Labeling prevents or rather provides a permanent clear mark of ownership. So if you have calves in your farm, just label them with your name or anything, tagging them. All right, to provide a permanent clear mark of ownership, helping to identify the animal, prevent theft, and easily distinguish it from animals belonging to other farms. Branding, labeling the calves. Figure 2 shows a pasture utilization method. Use it to answer questions that follow. Observe that the land, this land here, is blocked, is demarcated into blocks, and we have animals only eating only one area, while the other areas have no animals. Name the pasture utilization method shown here. This method is called rotational grazing, where the animals will feed here for some time and then to allow the pasture to grow in the other areas like that. After some time, they can be moved to this block here and so on. They feed there while this land here is allowed to grow, the grass is allowed to grow, over time, like that. It's called the rotational grazing. It is also called paddocking. Paddocking. It is also called strip grazing. So describe any one way in which the system ensures control of ticks in animals. How does this control ticks in animals? So rotational grazing is a way of controlling ticks in animals. When animals are moved from one paddock to another, moved from here to another, the previously grazed area, the land that has been left for some time, is left empty for some time. This would help ticks and their larvae to die. So ticks and their larvae left behind die from starvation, lack of food, or lack of host, breaking their life cycle and reducing their population. Explain one limitation of the system to smallholder farmers. So this system requires dividing land into several paddocks or areas, which needs more land and fencing requirements materials. So smallholders often have limited land and cannot afford or access enough fencing materials, making it difficult or costly to set up tumacs. Welcome, learners. My name is Mr. Pochilola, your teacher. Number 9, state any 3 ways of improving trading of agricultural commodities at national level. State any 3 ways of improving trading, selling, and buying of agricultural commodities at national level. 3 ways, 3 marks. So, one way is to improve transport and communication networks to ease movement of goods and market information. Another one is to establish standard grades and quality control measures to ensure fair trade and consistent product value. 3 ways of improving trading of agricultural commodities at national level. Build and maintain well-organized market infrastructures like storage facilities, auction yards, and wholesale centers. All these together are going to help improve trading of agricultural commodities at the national level. Describe any 2 effects of population distribution, the population of people, on the marketing of agricultural commodities. In other words, how does the distribution of populations affect marketing of agricultural commodities? In places which are highly populated areas will create large, ready markets. People like to eat, they like to buy goods. So, where there is high population, right, there are ready markets, increasing demand and enabling back sales, selling a lot of produce, which lowers marketing costs per unit. So, when there are many people buying goods, agricultural products, markets, prices, costs reduce, things become cheaper. So highly populated areas create large ready markets, increasing demand and enabling back sales, which lowers marketing costs. So the effect here is that high population would actually help increase demand and lower marketing costs per unit. In places where the populations is sparse, like people living far apart, there is low demand and scattered customers, making it hard to sell produce profitably and increasing transport costs. All right, so sparsely populated regions are regions with low population density. All right, so the demand there is low and it becomes hard to sell produce profitably and increasing transport costs also. Concentrated populations near production zones close to where goods are produced reduces transport distance and spoilage, making marketing faster and cheaper. Find a way of shortening this nicely so that you don't have to write too many things like this. An even population spread means some areas have surplus supply while others face shortages, leading to price differences and trade imbalances. Welcome, learners. Densely settled urban areas require regular, steady supply, encouraging development of permanent markets, storage, and better distribution systems. Question number 10. List any two causes of gender bias. Gender bias is a tendency of considering different genders for specific tasks, for some tasks. Like maybe we're considering that some tasks are only for men and others for maybe women. That's called gender bias. Gender bias. All right, so cultural norms, causes of gender bias. Gender bias is caused by cultural norms and traditions that assign different roles, rights, and status to men and women. That's one cause. Culture. Another cause is limited access to education and information, which leads to uneven opportunity and outdated beliefs. Causes of gender bias, limited access to education and information, cultural norms and tradition, just listing. Religious beliefs and teachings that favor one gender over the other, that's another one. And unequal access to resources like land, capital, and tools, which creates dependency and inequality. Just any two. Another one is social stereotypes that view certain weak leadership or decision making as suitable only for men or women. Discuss any two ways in which keeping a labor record is important in crop production. Two ways in which keeping a record is important. So, what's the importance of record keeping, labor record keeping? Keeping records about labor helps in labor planning to avoid shortages or excess workers for each crop activity. It helps in labor planning to avoid shortages or excess workers, too many workers doing a piece of crop activity. It enables accurate calculation of total labor costs and profit loss for each crop. Welcome, learners. It also improves efficiency by identifying tasks that take too much time or labor. It helps in decision making about which crops or activities give the best return on labor. These are the ways in which keeping a labor record is important, with emphasis on crop production. It also supports accountability and ensures correct wages are paid, resolving disputes and the others, potential disputes and other issues. Welcome, learners. Mr. Peel bought an animal from another caller, but of the same breed for mating. From a different caller, but of the same breed for mating. Name the breeding system done by the farmer. This is what is called outbreeding. The fact that the animal came from another color, that's outbreeding. It's also line breeding because it's of the same breed. It's line breeding and the outcrossing. So any of these, correct. Explain any one advantage of the breeding system. So this introduces new genetic material which increases genetic variation, helping to avoid inbreeding depression. It also improves general health, fertility, and the production performance of the offspring. 2 marks. Describe any two methods of treating pasture seeds, seeds that are meant to be planted for pasture. Must be treated by breaking or softening the hard seed coat mechanically or chemically to allow water and air absorption, thereby improving germination. That's one method. Coating legume seeds with rhizobium bacteria to enable nitrogen fixation and enhance plant growth. That's another. Treating seeds with fungicides or insecticides to protect them from soil-borne diseases and pests after planting. Immersing seeds in water for a specific period to soften the coat and trigger the germination process. So any two of these will give you 4 marks. Give one way in which a sexual propagation ensures early maturity of fruits. 4 marks. I'm sure here the marks are too many. It could have been 2 marks because it's just one way. All right, so sexual propagation uses parts from mature or ready fruiting plants. In the process, it skips the long juvenile phase. So in other words, it skips the period for which these young seedlings would grow. So it saves time. Offspring are genetically identical to the parent, so they inherit early fruiting traits or characteristics. It establishes faster and stronger than seeds, seedlings, directing energy quickly to production. It also bypasses slow seed germination and early growth delays, leading to earlier maturity. Welcome, learners. My name is Mr. Pochilola, your teacher. In case you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are going to be very glad to attend to questions. Section B, this question number 12. Describe any 5 activities that are involved in shifting cultivation. The activities involved in shifting cultivation involve clearing the selected piece of land by cutting down trees, bushes, and removing vegetation. Once that is done, burning the cleared vegetation to add ash and nutrients to the soil. Then cutting and preparing the land for planting, cultivating and clearing the land for planting. Once that is done, planting crops such as cereals, roots, or vegetables. After all these activities are done over time, the land is abandoned. So abandoning the plot after a few years when soil fertility drops and moving into a new area. That's called shifting cultivation. 10 marks. Notice that each point has 2 parts, giving you 2 marks. So 2 multiplied by 5 It gives you 10 marks altogether. Lastly, question number 13. Discuss any 5 ways in which farmers in Malawi may mitigate risk and uncertainties. To mitigate means to reduce the effects of something. So in this case, how can farmers in Malawi reduce the impact of risks and uncertainties and foreseeable circumstances? So one of the ways is to diversify crops and livestock to spread the risk. So failure of one does not cause total loss. In other words, growing a variety of things, crops and livestock. If one part is affected, you survive on the others. Use drought-resistant, disease-tolerant varieties and breeds to withstand harsh conditions. That's also another way to mitigate risks and uncertainties. Practice soil and water conservation. Ridges, bands to maintain yields during dry spells. Join farming cooperatives for shared inputs, better markets, and financial support. And lastly, keep farm records and plan activities properly to avoid waste and make informed decisions. Welcome, learners. My name is Mr. Pochilo. It has been wonderful to present this revision to you. Make an informed decision on these responses. Go through them a number of times. It doesn't mean that they are 100% correct. You can add your own points, your own responses to them. You can try to rewrite and paraphrase these things in a manner that you can easily answer in an exam. Welcome, learners. Once again, we are so grateful to the teachers and examiners at the St. Mary's Catholic Secondary School in Zomba for setting up such a very beautiful paper. My name is Mr. Paul Chirola. Bye-bye.